Hey everybody, it's Jeremy Osselberger with BIC Alliance and BIC Magazine. I'm joined by Frank Ingley. Frank is Project Maintenance and Turnarounds Manager. He's recently retired from Shell. And Frank is going to talk to us today about integration of capital projects and turnarounds. Frank is also going to be a speaker during the upcoming Downstream Virtual Conference next week, June 9th through 11th. Frank, how are you doing?
Very good. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
And always. So, Frank, from where are you joining us?
So I'm like everybody else. I'm working from home because of the COVID issues going on. I'm actually at my home in Edmonton, Alberta, and just enjoying the start of summer here.
Man, fantastic, man. Come up there and check out some wildlife, man. I might show up next week. I'm just letting you know.
No problems.
All right, man. So, Frank, let's get into a little bit. For folks that don't know you and your background, could you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about your responsibilities at Shell over your career? Of course, now you're retired.
Okay. Yeah, as you indicated, Jeremy, I've just recently retired from the Shell Sarnia refinery. I was the project maintenance and turnaround manager there, overseeing basically all the field execution on the site. Spent 3 years there and just moved on into now a role as a consultant. Prior to being in Sarnia Shell, I worked at their upgraders in Alberta in the Fort Saskatchewan area, managing turnarounds of 1,000,000+ hours and working with that. In total, I've been 37 years in the industry, engineering background, but most of my efforts have been working with projects, maintenance, and turnarounds. And also I've spent a lot of time on improving safety, really focusing on creating caring and collaborative atmosphere to make sure that people feel safe and have the ability to work safe.
So, Frank, there's a lot of data suggesting about 90% of turnarounds in the refining and petrochemical industry are failing to meet goals as it relates to overruns, time, and cost. What are some of the primary reasons why that rate is so high?
Well, first off, executing a turnaround is a challenging aspect because you're basically concentrating a lot of work into a small concentrated time. And like with all our sites that I've worked at and in the industry, a huge amount of effort is required, and also a huge amount of operational loss is occurring. As I've told others, my purpose isn't necessarily to repair things, it's making sure that equipment's available to run.
Sure.
But biggest challenge in terms of the turnarounds is really the preparation up front for it, is getting ready. Many a times, folks don't necessarily maintain the discipline in terms of the lead time required to prepare for work, especially if capital work is involved and integrating in that aspect. The other one that many a times, especially lately, although with the changes just recently because of the pandemic issues, a lot of places have been bringing in capital work and large amounts of capital work. And it's really looking at whether your site has the ability to take on not only the day-to-day work, the preparation for one or two or multiple turnarounds. Do you have the technical capability of managing ahead, meeting the timelines, and making sure that you're prepared for that? And we sometimes lose focus on that. A lot of discussion around, do you have the skilled trades to do it, which is a challenge, and because there is a lot of work going on, or was going on in all across North America. But the other one that we necessarily don't look at is, do we have the site capacity to take on all that technical work in terms of preparing both the capital projects and the maintenance work lists that are required for a successful execution, and making sure that's in a timely basis.
And so, Frank, digging a little deeper into the integration of capital projects into turnarounds, give us a little bit more about your expertise on that. How has Shell done that in its past, and how are other owner operator companies doing the same?
Well, one of the challenges of integrating capital projects and turnarounds is, first off, very clearly, and sometimes focuses on just the sheer aspect of finance. Capital work may start significantly earlier, before turnaround is ever even thought of. It's really focused focusing on integrating the groups and starting them to work from the beginning of the project assumptions, and working that into the opportunities that could be done during the turnaround, and finding the synergies early, being able to make the decisions and take advantage of them, versus, if a large capital project starts 4 years out in the cycle and then you start planning the turnaround 2 years out, you may have made decisions that you just can't change at that point when you start turnarounds 2 years out or 2.5 years out, depending on the size. And really building on taking advantage of that synergy where you can build it. The other one is trying to create a cohesive work group so that as a total team, both the project and turnarounds working together, the individuals almost become interchangeable. They understand each other's work. They understand the interactions between each other, and developing cohesive and collaborative approaches to things like contracting, purchasing, and making sure that aspects of the capital projects are delivered, such as drawings and technical information and ordering equipment, are delivered on time, but in a ratable package, versus just everything showing up on the poor turnaround planner's doorstep 9 months out from the outage.
And Frank, I would just to take what you just said and apply it to a post-COVID-19 world as far as turnaround planning and scheduling. I think there's some obvious challenges there, but what are maybe some unforeseen challenges that you're sort of expecting or predicting or could likely take place given your experience?
A couple things. First off, we always complain in the industry, or at least as turnaround professionals or maintenance professionals, is that, they always want us to do another project that's really late in the process. And that change is difficult to absorb, and it's it's almost that next straw that can break the camel's back. Actually, with the issues with the COVID and the amount of work that's being reduced, a lot of capital work has been put on hold. A lot of companies are in cash preservation. And that change of removing things from the work list in preparation for the turnaround can cause just as much disruption and turmoil, because if you've done it right, the two groups are synergized and depending on each other for contracting and addressing equipment. Operators are looking at how to prepare systems to accommodate both, and new installations are being put in that people were relying on for startup. That may now be not in the picture, and you may be scrambling with respect to, okay, how do I adjust for that? And you may not have the lead times required to properly get at it. The other challenge is that looking post-COVID, a lot of people have put things on hold. A lot of maintenance work and turnaround work have been put on hold because of the difficulty associated with managing large workforces and making sure that they're safe and capable of executing the work. There's a pent-up wave of work that's been built. And once things start opening up and releasing, a lot of people are going to start looking at opportunities to bring their units down, do the work, and there's going to be a huge demand for skilled trades and equipment that we may not necessarily have been challenged with before as things free up.
Yeah, that sort of buyer's market, for the needs as it relates to some of these projects are going to be pushed is certainly something that's going to be on the horizon. And so I guess, as you mentioned, Frank, the pushing of projects, does that mean there's a more enhanced focus on reliability improvement, on predictive maintenance to extend asset viability in between turnarounds?
I think very clearly that there always has been, and lately everybody's trying to understand, as I mentioned in the beginning, is as a maintainer and executor of turnarounds and day-to-day maintenance, our purpose isn't necessarily there to repair things. It's making sure that equipment is available to operate so that our operation folks can run it and our organizations can make money. The challenge has been is that because of pressures for reducing cost, preserving cash, we may be making decisions that are short-term good, long-term maybe cause us some grief. The other one is many of us, especially on older sites, have had legacies of the past that we're trying to catch up with. And one of the issues is, like everything else, you don't want to necessarily shut down your equipment just to maintain it. It's like a bottle of wine. You don't want to open up a bottle of wine before it's time. It's finding that proper run length and proper way of operating so that you can maximize the duration and the throughput, but at the same time, not over maintain, and making sure that any repairs you do is not just patchwork, it's actually doing it so it's a robust repair or replacement of equipment that has long-term benefits that can cumulatively add to improving reliability and also increasing run length and throughput.
Well, Frank, everything you said is extremely insightful, man. I'm grateful for you have joined us today, and just thank you so much for jumping on the Zoom call with us.
No problems, and I look forward for the opportunity of the panel discussion next week, talking about integrations of project and capital work in the turnaround areas.
That's right. That's right, Frank. And for everyone who just heard what Frank said, certainly hear more from him. He will be speaking at the Reuters event, the Downstream Virtual Conference, June 9th through 11th next week. And for those that haven't done so, you can register at petchem-update.com/downstream. So the conference is broken up into 3 tracks. They have an engineering and construction track, reliability, maintenance, and turnarounds track, and the supply chain and logistics track. So for more info, visit the site and register as you will. So Frank, thank you. Until next time, all viewers and listeners, stay safe and stay prosperous.
Thank you, Jeremy.